What if the man Amy once loved and the man who's trying to love her now stood face to face, one living, one a memory, both holding the same question? Can Amy ever truly move on? Before we can understand the weight of this final conversation between Ty and Nathan, we have to go back. Back to when Heartland wasn't just a show, it was a journey. A place where healing, love, and second chances felt real. Ty Borden wasn't just Amy's husband. He was the soul of the ranch. From a troubled teenager to a loving father and husband, Ty's growth became a symbol of redemption. Every fence he fixed, every horse he healed, and every time he stood by Amy's side, it all built a foundation that still holds strong. Even after he's gone, Ty and Amy's love was never perfect, but it was deep. It was earned. That's what made it feel real to the audience. They fought through grief, distance, and danger, but in the end, it was always them together. So when Ty died, it left a silence not just in Amy's life, but in every viewer's heart. His absence wasn't just about losing a character, it felt like losing a friend. And no matter how many seasons go by, his presence still lingers. In Amy's eyes, in Lindy's smile, in the quiet of the barn. Now, enter Nathan, a character introduced in later seasons, strong, kind, dependable. But with him comes tension. He's not Ty, and that's the hardest part. For Amy, for us, and even for Nathan himself. He walks into a world shaped by a man he never met but constantly feels compared to. No matter how much he does right, there's always a shadow. The unspoken question, will he ever be enough? Nathan isn't the villain. In fact, he's just as lost in this story as anyone. He respects Ty's memory, even though he never knew him. And he cares for Amy deeply, but carefully, knowing she still carries pieces of a love that ended too soon. That's where the conflict lies. Not in betrayal or anger, but in the complicated space between grief and new beginnings. This brings us to the final conversation, but it's not what you think. It's not a ghost or a haunting. It's emotional, symbolic, maybe a dream, maybe just a deep thought in Nathan's mind. It's about closure. It's about understanding. For a man like Nathan, standing in Ty's shoes isn't just about loving Amy, it's about knowing the story he walked into. And for the audience, it's a way to bridge the past and the present, to honor what came before without being afraid of what's next. Let's not forget, Heartland has always been about growth. From Lou finding her footing, to Jack learning to open up, to Georgie fighting for her place in the world. Everyone evolves. Everyone moves forward. But Ty's death was the moment everything changed. For Amy, it was the breaking point. For us, the viewers, it was the beginning of a new chapter we didn't ask for but had to accept. And here's the powerful part. This imagined conversation between Ty and Nathan isn't just for Nathan's benefit, it's for ours. It's the writer's way of letting Ty speak one last time, to pass the torch, to give us permission to let go. Not forget, but let go of the pain, the guilt, the worry that moving on means leaving something behind. Imagine the emotion in that moment. Nathan, standing alone at the ranch. Maybe it's late at night. Maybe he's talking to himself, or to a photo, or just to the wind. And in that stillness, he hears Ty not with his ears, but with his heart. Ty, calm and steady as always, offering words not of warning, but of peace. Not of rivalry, but of understanding. This first section lays the groundwork. It reminds us why Ty's story still matters, why Nathan's journey is more than just a romantic subplot, and why Heartland continues to be one of the most emotionally honest shows on television. It's about family, love, and healing, and sometimes healing means having one last conversation with the past before we can truly embrace the future. In the next section, we'll step into that imagined moment. We'll paint the scene, draw the emotion, and listen as Ty and Nathan finally speak, not just man to man, but heart to heart. The sky is turning that golden color it only does at Heartland, quiet, wide, and full of memory. It's evening, the kind of evening Ty would have loved. The breeze gently moves the tall grass, and the ranch sits in its usual stillness. You can almost hear the echo of old footsteps in the barn. This isn't just another night, it feels like something's coming to an end, or maybe just beginning in a new way. Nathan walks through the property, but not with the confidence of a man in love. He moves like someone carrying invisible weight. For weeks now, maybe longer, he's been struggling, not just with Amy's hesitations, but with the way the air around her still feels like ties. Every photo on the wall, every quiet look from Jack, every story from Lindy that starts with "my dad used to." Nathan knows he isn't part of that past, but it keeps pulling at him, and it's slowly wearing him down. He steps inside the barn. It's empty, dimly lit, smelling of hay and old wood, a place where Ty once found peace. Nathan pauses near Ty's old workspace, now mostly cleared but still echoing the man who used to work there. His hands touch the edge of the table. Then he closes his eyes, and then something strange happens. It's not a dream. It's not a ghost. But in the silence, Nathan feels something. A presence. A calm. And when he opens his eyes, he sees Ty not fully, not like a person, but more like a memory too strong to stay quiet any longer. Ty is standing across the barn, exactly how fans remember him: serious, kind-eyed, arms crossed like he's ready to say something that matters. It's not scary. It's comforting. Familiar. Nathan doesn't panic. He doesn't even speak at first. He just stares, unsure if what he's seeing is real or imagined. But what matters isn't whether it's real. What matters is what it brings out of him. Ty's voice isn't loud. It's steady, gentle, the way he always was when he needed to tell Amy something important. He says Nathan's name like he's always known him, even though they never met in life. And just like that, the wall between past and present breaks. Not with force, but with understanding. Ty begins the moment with something simple. "I know what you're thinking, and it's okay." Nathan looks shaken. He responds quietly, almost unsure if he should. "I didn't come here to replace you." And that's the heart of this scene. This isn't about a fight or a confrontation. It's not about competition. It's about connection. Two men tied to the same woman in different times, sharing a moment neither of them asked for but both of them need. Ty tells him, "You're not standing in my place. You're standing beside her." That's different. Those words hit hard, because that's what Nathan's been questioning all along. He never wanted to erase Ty. He just wanted to be accepted, not just by Amy but by the space Ty left behind. Nathan opens up. He talks about how hard it's been, how he's always felt like an outsider, how every time he makes Amy laugh, he wonders if it makes her feel guilty, how he questions whether he's helping her heal or just keeping her stuck. Ty listens patiently. He doesn't interrupt. And when Nathan finally goes quiet, Ty answers with something powerful. Amy doesn't need someone to fix her. She needs someone who's not afraid of the pieces. It's that one sentence that changes everything, because now Nathan sees it. Loving Amy isn't about being like Ty. It's about being himself honestly, without fear. It's about being steady when things don't make sense. It's about letting Amy carry Ty with her, and still making room for something new. The barn is quiet again. Ty steps back. His voice gets softer. "Take care of her, and let her take care of you. That's how we keep going." Nathan nods, not as a man trying to prove himself, but as someone who's finally beginning to understand where he fits. And then Ty is gone. Not with drama, not with a flash, just gone. Like the way old memories fade when you're finally ready to stop holding them so tightly. Nathan is left alone in the barn, but he's not the same. He stands taller, not because something supernatural happened, but because something emotional did. He walks out into the night, breathing a little easier. This is the moment the show uses to tell us something we all needed. It's okay to miss Ty. It's okay to still feel his absence. But it's also okay to open your heart again, even if the person stepping in brings something entirely different. This scene, though imaginary, feels more real than most things, because Heartland has always been about what's unspoken. And here, in this quiet barn, between the living and the remembered, something important was finally said. There are some conversations in life that don't need to happen out loud. They exist in the quiet moments when grief softens just enough to let healing begin. And that's exactly what this final conversation between Ty and Nathan feels like. It's not about ghost stories or magic. It's about what happens when a man finally allows himself to face the legacy of another, and the fear of never living up to it. Nathan stands in the center of the barn, not looking around, not trying to figure out if Ty is really there. Because that's not what matters. This isn't about logic. It's about heart. He begins slowly, carefully, as if speaking into the still air. I never knew you, Ty, but I feel like I've been living in your shadow since the day I got here. He pauses. There's pain in his eyes, but not bitterness, just honesty. The kind that Heartland is built on. Amy talks about you like you were a part of her soul. Jack still carries your name like it's sacred. And Lindy, even she knows who her dad was. I'm not trying to take your place, but I can't help wondering, is there even a place for me at all? That's when Ty steps forward. Not physically, but emotionally. The presence becomes stronger, and you can almost hear his voice in the silence that follows. I never expected Amy to stop loving me. I don't want her to. This would be the first time Ty's voice cuts through. Not forceful, just calm, kind, and full of understanding. But I never wanted her to stop living either. She deserves to smile again. And you don't have to be me. You just have to be real. Nathan looks stunned, like a man finally hearing the answer to a question he's been too afraid to ask. He breathes in, as if letting go of something heavy. I try. I really do. But I feel like I'm always chasing a ghost. Even when she holds my hand, I wonder if it's yours she's feeling. And here's where Ty says something that shakes everything. You're not chasing me, Nathan. You're standing in front of someone who's still healing. And healing takes time. She can love you and still miss me. Those things aren't opposites, they're both part of the same story. That's when the emotion hits hardest. Because this is a message not just for Nathan, but for the audience. For every fan who struggled to accept Amy moving on. For every heart that felt like Ty's absence was too big to fill. Nathan takes a seat on the edge of the wooden bench near the stable wall. He looks tired, but lighter. I've loved her from the start, but I kept holding back. Like if I let myself go all in, I'd be disrespecting what you two had. Ty's reply comes with warmth. What Amy and I had doesn't need defending. It's not broken. It's just finished. And that doesn't mean it wasn't real. It means she has room for something else now if she's ready. And if you're too. Nathan finally lets a small smile touch his face. For the first time, he doesn't feel like an outsider. He doesn't feel like a replacement. He feels human. I'm not you. I never will be. And Ty's voice answers like a whisper. Good. She doesn't need me. She needs you exactly as you are. Silence settles again. But it's a different kind of silence. Not heavy, not haunted, just peaceful. Nathan stands, brushes the dust off his jeans, and looks around the barn one last time before walking out. But before he leaves, he turns and says softly, "Thank you." There's no reply. Not because Ty is gone, but because there's nothing more to say. The message was received. The weight has lifted. This imagined conversation, this moment of emotional clarity is more than just a scene. It's a bridge between past and present, between grief and growth, between the version of Amy who lost everything and the version of her who might finally be ready to love again. Nathan walks back toward the house with a quiet strength. He knows things won't be easy. Amy will still have hard days. Lindy will still ask questions. And the memory of Ty will always be around. But now, it won't feel like a wall, it'll feel like a part of the family story that made this new chapter possible. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. Because it's not about moving on, it's about moving forward. And that, in true Heartland fashion, is exactly what love is meant to do. There are scenes in television that change a character. Then there are scenes that change us, the people watching. What happened between Nathan and Ty, whether it was a dream, a memory, or something deeper, wasn't just for them. It was for Amy, and for every fan who has walked with her through grief, loneliness, and that impossible journey of learning how to live again after losing your soulmate. The next morning at Heartland feels different. Not because anything big has changed, but because Nathan has. He doesn't walk around trying to fit in anymore. He moves with quiet purpose, no longer chasing the image of Ty. That weight, that doubt, it's gone. He's no longer afraid of standing where Ty once stood. Now, he understands he's carving his own space, not replacing anyone but simply being present for Amy, for Lindy, and even for himself. Amy, of course, doesn't know what happened in the barn, But she sees it in Nathan's eyes, that something has settled, something has shifted. His words are softer, but steadier. His actions feel freer, not like a man asking for permission to love her, but like someone who finally believes that loving her doesn't dishonor the past, it honors it in the best way. This change opens a door. Not when Amy rushes through. Heartland has never been about fast decisions. It's always been about the slow burn, the quiet transformation. But now, for the first time in a long time, Amy isn't guarded. She lets Nathan in just a little more. Maybe it's a longer look. Maybe it's a shared laugh without apology. Maybe it's her finally telling Lindy, it's okay to talk about Nathan too. And Lindy, she's the heartbeat of this next chapter. The way she carries pieces of Ty in her smile, in the way she touches horses, in the questions she asks without even knowing the weight of them. She senses things before others do. Maybe she sees the way Amy relaxes when Nathan is near. Maybe she notices that for the first time, her mom's eyes aren't filled with sadness when someone else makes her smile. The ranch itself becomes symbolic. It always has been. It's where Ty and Amy built their life. But now, it's becoming something else, to a space of legacy and growth. Jack, Lou, Tim, they all feel it. They may not say anything outright, but they start to treat Nathan differently. Not like an outsider trying to belong, but like someone who already does. And this matters for Heartland and for us. Because too often, we think grief has to have an ending before love can begin again. But this story shows us that sometimes they walk side by side. That it's possible to carry the love of someone who's gone while still making space for someone who's here. That healing doesn't erase, it expands. For viewers, Ty's presence will never fade, nor should it. His story was the soul of Heartland's early years. He shaped Amy, he shaped the ranch, and in many ways, he shaped us. But his goodbye, soft, emotional, unspoken, gives us something we didn't know we needed. Permission. Permission to let go of the ache, to hold on to the memory, and to walk into season 19 with open hearts. So what does this mean moving forward? Season 19 now carries the emotional clarity to do something bold. It can embrace a new chapter without dishonoring the old. Nathan and Amy don't need to rush into love, but now they have the emotional room to explore it without guilt, without fear, and without constantly looking over their shoulders. We may see Amy take more risks, not just in love, but in life. Maybe she returns to horse therapy with new purpose. Maybe she mentors someone the way Ty once did. Maybe she opens herself to joy again, not as something that replaces grief, but as something that stands beside it. Nathan might find his own arc now, beyond just being Amy's. Maybe he could become a father figure to Lindy in a way that feels authentic and earned. He might start building trust with Jack, who's always protective but sees the value of a good man. Maybe he even finds purpose in the ranch's deeper work, healing people as much as horses, just like Ty once did. And yes, there will still be hard moments. There always are. That's what makes Heartland so real. But now, those moments come with hope, with emotional depth, with a sense that the story is no longer stuck between chapters but finally turning the page. As fans, we should allow ourselves to feel both the sorrow of Ty's absence and the warmth of something new. Because this is what real storytelling does. It doesn't replace, it evolves. And this final conversation between Ty and Nathan, it was never just about two men. It was about giving all of us, Amy, Nathan, Lindy, and every single viewer, the chance to breathe again. To stop holding on so tightly to the past that we forget how beautiful the future might be. So as we move into season 19, we carry Ty with us. In the quiet, in the horses, in the home he helped build. But we also open our arms to what's next. Not because we're done grieving, but because we're ready to grow. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Ty would have wanted all along.